the university, because he was like, I don't know that they really know, so I think that they're gonna compare it to the, I think they're gonna use it as a comparison shopping kind of opportunity,
Right,
so.
but it's nice that it's there, if, you know, we want it now, until the university, has health insurance for us, then I think it's, you know, it's something. It's better than zero.
It's
so.
better than zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's available from today.
It should be, that's what she said, and if there are any issues at all, like if you sign up and there's a problem, let me know and I will contact her. She is very good about getting back to me quickly.
But
So,
I was just wondering if I should shoot an email to everybody, but it's not probably good right now.
not right now, I wanna wait till the check is like there and in their hands, and we are like totally official, so. Right.
That'd be a funny notice.
There's
then.
a couple.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the response. Oh,
That's fine, right? First thing is we're gonna design a t-shirt. There's a couple of reasons we're gonna design a t-shirt. First is, you know, there's no money to go like to the conference for people. Well, we need to have a fundraiser. Secondly, the people at the university that give us money will give us more money if we have a fundraiser. Sort of like you can only get a loan from the bank if you have money, same kind of thing. Now, the thought is, this is all approved and everything, that every organization has a t-shirt but us. And there's an awful lot of us. And, you know, I'm a retired math teacher, so I'm probably not your best creative mind on t-shirt design. But I've had kids design them before, and we have a brilliant group of grad students. Someone can come up with a cool design. There are a couple little restrictions on design, I'm sorry. Somehow on there it's got to say, either have our logo somewhere in the design, or say ODU Graduate Student Organization. And you don't have to design it. If you have creative kids or siblings or buddies, let them design it. Secondly, Dr. Lewis is going to have to approve our design because, you know, if we put out anything, shall we say, questionable, it's going to be her neck on the line, and she's been so helpful, we really don't want to do that to her. So, it should be creative, it can be humorous, it can be about ODU, it can be about life as a graduate student.
As long as it's not pulling from PhD comics or anything else copyrighted.
Right,
Just
And
putting that out there.
BGSO has done similar things, is that correct?
We do. BGSO has, usually finds a student. Emily is willing to do a design if we want. She's kind of pressed, but we do the same thing, and it comes off really, really well. So we usually have some tree that has everything that all the biologists in the department do.
So it's not an unprecedented event?
Oh,
No, it's not unprecedented, and it's very popular.
Great.
Well, I'd have students come up with, and the math people will give us an asymptote and a curve, and it would say, can't touch this. Think high school age. Don't drink and drive. You know, whatever they thought of. It was always more creative than anything I would ever have come up with. Talk nerdy, all kinds of things. But, so we have a really bright group, we have really creative people. Someone will come up with a good design. Now suppose you come up with this good design. What will you get, you ask? 3 things. 1, your t-shirt is free. Remember, we are a high budget group. 2, you get announced on the web page so that everybody else knows that you are the cool, creative t-shirt designer of GSO. 3, all these people will be wearing your personal artwork all over campus. How cool is that? Now, I tried to schedule it because we have to put up things and stuff. You can sit them anytime. I said between November, on the submission, between November 1st and November 26th. November 26th is the Monday after Thanksgiving break. So the people that might want to do it but are buried by graduate work would have that weekend to, you know, get it straight, which I thought would be good. And email me the designs. The board will meet and we'll pick one.
What format do you want? Did you specify format on there?
I didn't know I should.
Yeah, it probably,
Use a PDF and JPEG.
yeah, I was gonna say PDF is probably the best, because it's easier to,
Smaller too.
yeah.
Okay.
You just
PDF.
say, yeah, just
How
say
about a
it.
JPEG?
No, the PDF is better. It doesn't change, if you do it as a PDF, when you pull it up and anything, it won't change it. If you do it in any other format, it alters proportions and.
Okay.
Whoever wins, they just submit in their original
Yeah.
design,
Yeah.
and whoever knows how to do all that stuff can play with it.
Yeah.
We'll work it out. You know, I'm sure that we got enough bright people in this group to work it out. Other things from the land of treasury. Is that how you say what I do? Treasury? Anyway, I got us a new, we now have an official IRS nonprofit tax ID number. Now, a really great thing about this is we're gonna open a checking account once we have some money put in it, probably after the t-shirt money starts coming in. And
Yeah.
we have to have money to open an account, unfortunately. It's like borrowing money.
$25 to open it.
We'll get it. So, once we get the t-shirt money start coming in, we're gonna open the account, we're gonna open it at the credit union, that's what Danielle and I discussed.
Credit union.
Right,
Yeah.
you
You have to get there.
So that, you know, subsequent officers can find the account. And all of the money that we put in there is not subject to the budget restrictions of our Student Government Association. So this is a really good chance with the t-shirt contest to get money that we can put in the account that we don't have to account for. It'll help us get more money next year. It's a good thing.
And you can spend it on alcohol. I'm just saying, BGSO, that's how they. generally.
Right, and again, this conference for next year, it'd be nice to send a few people.
It would be nice
It would
to
be
send a
nice.
couple,
It would be great.
at least to pay for a couple of people to go,
Yes.
or part of a bunch of, whatever. So anyway, that's all I really have to report on treasury stuff, but
Back to the t-shirt fundraiser, I'm thinking that, instead of just, choosing whatever design is the prettiest, in our opinion, I'm thinking that we should work together to develop, a rubric. So I'm thinking the executive board at our November meeting, we can come up with a draft, and then we can vote on it as a whole group later in November. And I'm also thinking that in terms of selection, everyone should be involved in that. And I think we do have a December executive board meeting, pretty early on in December, and by then the t-shirt contest will be, the deadline is done, so as a
And
group
even
we can
people-
meet and vote, so that way everyone has input
well, that's fine.
on that. So I think that's something, we'll work on.
And
getting
the
on
winning
there.
design is probably gonna be something that's the most inclusive of all graduate pass programs at OU. So really try to not focus on, biology, we already have a t-shirt. So,
Right. We'll worry on making the rubric
Yeah.
at a later date, and we can talk about it further. So in terms of points and standards, Janet, you've had some conversations with SGA.
I have. My conversation with SGA included, oh goodness, SGA person, why did you not show up for the meeting that we had scheduled? So it is rescheduled, yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was working when we scheduled. So the conversations I have had thus far with Modeling Simulation Grad Organization and BGSO has been that of the points and standards, the activities that we're required to do as an organization, the consensus so far seems to be that one of the requirements is that we do Main Street and and the Spring Organizational Fair. And while the Spring Organizational Fair might be good, the Main Street, they're both just opportunities to recruit people to our organization. The problem is that we spend more time handing candy out to undergraduates than we do actually seeing graduates. So we think that it would be a better utilization of our time to do away with that as far as graduate organizations. And so that's a conversation that I'm having with they have a committee that is revising points and standards. There is a whole section, points and standards, that lists other, and all these other activities that we have to do 3 of. What we're pushing for is that changes and that more of those are expected. And one of those things that would be expected for a graduate organization is that members of their organization have gone and presented at conferences. If we want to, so that would be an additional thing that they could put out there in place of Main Street and Spring Organization, the suggestion came that instead of doing that, that the graduate organizations be required to do a symposium on campus. And it wouldn't be semester, it would be once a year. So at some point, you would have to hold at least a half-day symposium where people present either do oral presentations or poster presentations, and other graduates could, I know the graduate office does one as well, but it would be more department specific, is the idea. So we have to have that conversation with them and see what they're thinking, because SGA feels that the points and standards need to be revised anyway, so as soon as I know, you'll get an email, and
Is
please.
there, sorry to interrupt, is there a possibility that you could let us know the date so that other people could come? Because I'm sure we all have some things.
Oh, as far as my meeting with her?
Right.
Sure, as soon as I can nail her down.
Oh, okay, so.
I'd be
all right.
happy to,
Right,
yeah.
let us know. Yeah, it'd be great to have, as many voices as we can, advocating. for this.
Anybody that wants to, and Danielle and I had talked about, our having, from all the organizations, essentially having a subcommittee within GSO that would deal with devising points and standards for SGA, to advise SGA about what graduate program, and I think that's one of the main points of conversation I need to have with her is say, this is what we really think needs to happen, at least regarding the graduate organization. So again, I just have to have that conversation with her. Nail her feet to the floor. I'm gonna scope out her schedule soon, just stalk her.
I had two questions. We don't have anybody from SGA here, do we? I don't know if anybody's like, yeah, I'm the president of SGA.
No, they're all undergrads, to my knowledge.
First of all, I'm assuming none of those changes are going into effect this calendar year?
It's not, so we're still stuck with except that's, again, is gonna be something I'm gonna discuss with some of the graduate organizations got main things cut. Their funding got cut for their main event, which was a symposium.
Yeah.
So the undergrads are not understanding what our needs are not understanding the relevance of what we have in our budget. So one of the things I wanna have, and say to her is, we don't wanna wait till next year. I mean, we can go with what we had to this semester, but like next semester, you need to relieve us of the spring organizational fair. I don't know how.
Or substitute it in some way.
Substitute in some way.
Yeah, I mean, that was that was getting at is the substitution. Because it used to be before, and the other question was, we know if we have to do that in OrgSync, because it used to be with the old system, you could type whatever you wanted to in that little block, and okay, I mean, and then you could pull the PDF from last year's responses, and somebody's like, or community service project, planting flowers for homecoming week, like, okay, obviously, no one's really going line by line checking this thing. So it's like a 300-page document, so that's that kind of time. But I don't know if that's harder to do with OrgSync than it is.
I don't know I honestly do not know how we're gonna submit that end of year report. They said it was going to go through OrgSync, but have you played with OrgSync? LAS is probably the best I can make about it. Because it doesn't give you, they're going through revisions. You can register for something and you don't get a confirmation. And you don't realize that you really are or aren't. You're still in that kind of, I wonder if I am. So that's my concern over the organizations. And I don't want them to wait till the last minute to tell us like a week before, oh, and here's your deadline, you need to submit everything. So again, that's a whole conversation that I have to have with her to query, because to me, in OrgSync, and this is digressing just a bit, we should be able to, as we have this event, we should be able to sit here and enter it now. I had this number of people attend the event, but the idea for the OrgSync is that you would RSVP to it. We would send an invite out, essentially. You'd RSVP to it, and then we'd go back in and verify as an organization that you were there. So we wouldn't have to have a paper trail. And I said, but if you ever get audited, you have to have a paper trail. And I'm trusting OrgSync as much as I trust Blackboard, which means not. It's gonna go down, you're gonna,
Well, I mean, you can do that with Org, I mean, this is getting off topic, but I mean, you can do that with OrgSync, but first of all, you gotta go through and type in every single name
Yeah.
And then like wait for the thing to search through all 27,000 people we've got on campus and find a name and put it in for you, and it sort of takes forever.
Yeah,
But,
it does.
I mean, so,
Well, and their idea is that members will take more ownership of an organization and take more responsibility for their signing up. But then it's like, well, what are the officers for? And so I don't know how it's gonna really shake down. I mean, I'm hesitant. I don't really like OrgSync yet because it's not intuitive. It's, you really have to hunt and spend a lot of time. And one of the things I had said during the training, one of the many trainings for OSAL was, you need more trainings just on OrgSync. Why don't you just have one a week and we can drop in?
but the sync training you did that is pretty worthless.
Yeah, I
So
know.
you sign up, okay.
Yeah, the things they probably presented were things that are intuitive. So you'll apprise us of people
I will.
meeting us so we can involve as many grad students as possible.
Yeah, and if anyone is really, Anthony, interested and wants to come along, please feel free to do so. Because the more of us voicing this, because technically GSO is not an umbrella organization as of yet. We'll work on that. But we're not a total umbrella organization in the eyes of SGA. So we need those maximum number of voices to be able to convince the undergrads that the grads have slightly different needs. So.
All right, thanks, Janet.
Sure.
For that update. Kelly, Admiral's game?
All right, so we're gonna go to an Admirals game. I know we talked about this at our September meeting about, what would we want to do this fall, and we said, well, maybe an Admirals game would be fun. So I looked into it. It's reasonable. The date is November 17th, so go ahead and mark your calendars. I'm gonna put together flyers and email that out soon. But the tentative date that we're looking at for the game is November 17th at 7:15, which is a Saturday. The tickets, with our discount, we need 15 people to sign up to go to get the tickets for $13.50, and that's not the nosebleed section, and it's not like the right on the ice section. That's like in the middle section. And so it's $13.50. That's called the red level. For those of you who go to Admirals games, it's called the red level. My idea was the game's at 7:15. We could all just meet at the fountain that sits right out in front of Scope at about 6:30-ish. I'm putting in time for people being a little late. And then we can get our tickets and go in. I have to reserve, put a $100 deposit down, and that sets us for 15 tickets, and then I just pay the difference when we get closer to the event. So I'm sitting around a sign-up sheet because we have to make sure we can get at least 15 people. This is a family-friendly event, so you can bring your husband, your kid if you would like, or kids. We want it to have something that, we can involve our whole family in. So I have the information right on the sign-up sheet, the date, meet from the fountain at 6:30, the tickets are $13.50. I was thinking that money probably should be due by November 9th, roughly a week before. That way I can go ahead and figure out what our balance is and pay the lady. So I'm sitting around a sign-up sheet. I want your name and your email, and then approximately how many tickets you think you'll be purchasing. And we can talk. I'll send out an email about specifics. I'm not sure with the account if we want to do checks to GSO or if we just want to, I pay for it and you just reimburse me, which may work best at this point. But since we are trying to get a checking account set up, it would be nice to start using it.
Right, or we could also make it out directly to the Admirals, because when we did this with the Tides last spring, students wrote it out to the Tides, so I just dropped off the money and we were good to go. They gave me tickets. It was very simple.
Yeah, the girl for Admirals is a little bit different.
It is.
She said she definitely wanted just one big check if possible, but what I think I'm gonna do is after we figure out how many people we have, I'll call and just put the $100 down myself, and then we can just work on doing that money back. So 15 people is the minimum. If you think of other people who might want to go, pass on the information. That way we can keep adding to the list, and I'll be emailing once I have everything confirmed.
Thank you for taking care of that, Kelly. That should be fun. As I mentioned before, we did the Tide game in the spring. Very well received. People had a great time. It was just nice to take a break, which sometimes we don't do as graduate students. So we are also in the process of planning an end of semester social. I know Jana and Kelly, you've both been talking about some location possibilities. So do you want to update us?
Oh yeah, I've called Press 626, Mermaid Winery, Trilogy, Night of the Iguana. I've contacted ODU Athletic Foundation about using their scholarship lounge at the football stadium, and also Tortilla West, which is kind of down right before you go to the Monitor Merrimack, or not the Monitor Merrimack, the Midtown Tunnel. Mermaid Winery has really been the most receptive. I've talked to the girl. It's actually it's a Dumar-owned company. If anybody's local, you know Dumar's.
Yeah.
Their daughter owns the Mermaid Winery. So when she emailed me back, I was like, Dumar, really? And she said that they would love to have us for the Sunday, maybe December 9th, for our end of semester social, you know, appetizers, we could all get drinks. They do these really cool, Relita got one, these little like wine sample things where you can get like 5 little wine glasses with little samples. And so I think, I mean, that's down off 22nd.
That's better.
Yeah, Mermaid Winery might be one of our best options. Press 626 is a little smaller, more of like a coffee shop, but they said they would be interested as well. I'm not too sure what they have, you know, food and appetizer wise. I have to get back to the girl on that. The restaurants like Trilogy, Night of the Iguana, and Tortilla West are going to want us to do like a catered event. It's pretty much what they want. They're not going to want us just to come in and buy some appetizers and hang out. So we kind of have to figure out what kind of feel we want. If we want more of like a, you know, hangout, you know, have some appetizers, just kind of relax event, or if we want to have like a dinner is what we need to decide.
My sense is that I think a very casual thing, you come in when you can, you know, buy an appetizer. I mean, of course, we can, you know, buy a few. We do have some discretionary funds. We do have a budget this year, so we could, you know, put the bill for a few things there. But, you know, we did Dirty Buffalo that way back in August. We had about 30 people come. As far as I know, everyone had a good time. And it was easy. People came when they could, left when they had to, you know, when they needed to. So, but I don't want to, like, dominate by, like, saying that's my feel. What does everyone else think?
Well, Fellini's and O'Sullivan's are the same as the catered, and actually we've duplicated. I really think the Mermaid Winery is probably the better choice.
I agree, and we
Because
went there on
they're
Sunday.
very-
It was wonderful.
Yeah, they're really, really nice. They're very receptive, and that's definitely a grad.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been there a few times. The food is excellent, and I'm a little reluctant to commit to a catered event because then we have to have a deposit ready, and
No, and they're, all of the restaurants that you talk to, well, then, if you want, depending on the size, you are either taking over the restaurant, and then you're guaranteeing a certain cost, and it's a holiday season, so if people don't show up, it's problematic, it's a lot of money for us, and it's a lot of potential bad PR as well. And, I mean, we have to jump on the dates now, because everyone's chomping at the bit for the date.
Yeah,
At
the
ninth was
Dumar called
open.
me 3 times yesterday, so I think they really want our business. A Sunday probably isn't a big day for them for a winery, so.
right. What does everyone else think? If we went ahead and scheduled that, you know, said to Mermaid Winery, hey, we'll come in on December 9th, then we start telling people, is everyone okay with that? Because I just don't want to make decisions for the group. I mean, this is why we meet.
That's the Sunday before exams, that's what we were thinking would be
Yeah.
good, that we kind of have a big relax. I know most of you are like, no, I'm working all weekend, you need to take at least an hour and relax.
Yeah.
And eat, and maybe have a little sip of wine, so that,
Is the
you
date
know.
firm already?
Huh?
Is the date firm? We firmed the date up, we're looking for a place now, right?
Well, we
My
had,
understanding.
December 9th was really what we figured would work best, because if we go the next Sunday, that's after exams, I think most people are gonna be gone.
Gotcha.
Is
Try
my
it, yeah.
feeling. Yeah, and you guys are like, no, I'm
Yeah.
gone, I'm out of here after
I
exams.
just didn't know when grades are due, because for the English grad organization, which I sort of represent, I guess, it's not over here, a lot of them, you know, it's, you've got 80 papers to grade, like,
Well, exams start the 10th, so there shouldn't be any grading yet, technically, unless you're collecting
Well,
exams the week
I guess
before.
most TAs will have ratings before the exam.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, the labs are all, the TAs for the labs.
The only
are
issue is if we
before.
move it up to, we could go to December 2nd, which is also a Sunday as well. I can check on that date if that works better. If we move up, then we're going to Thanksgiving in
Yeah,
November, and that wouldn't work. So we're pretty much tied into
The second.
Sunday the 2nd or Sunday the 9th.
Yep.
So what do you,
My
You
sense
know.
is that, like, around the 2nd, a lot of us are doing, like, cumulative projects for the semester, and that's tough. Like, I know,
Yeah.
I hate to be last minute, but it ends up being that way anyway.
yeah, I mean, all,
December 4th is a big due date.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
maybe I should send out a poll this week and do like a December 2nd or December 9th to the entire GSO body and see how people vote. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to vote, and then we can just kind of go with majority.
Yeah.
Does that
I
sound
think
good?
that's very
Yeah.
So I'll send out a vote, I'll do it today. So for the 2nd or 9th, and we'll see I mean, we could also go for a Saturday, but it might be harder to get a place on a Saturday since we aren't a big organization coming in doing a catered event and it's Christmas party season.
It is Christmas, and I've had better, they're all more receptive about a Sunday.
Yeah, everybody when I called were like, yeah, the 9th is good. But I have a feeling if I was asking about the 8th, it might be a different story.
I've gotten is that a Saturday? I'm like, no, it's a Sunday. Oh, well, and all of a sudden they're going to chat with you.
I'm thinking we should also set like a deadline for when this poll is closed, like maybe Monday morning, so that way people have a couple days to vote, because if they're calling you back, you know, as much as they have, Kelly, I feel like we need to lock it down fast. We don't want to lose it, so.
Okay,
I
so
think
we'll lock
between-
it down for the 2nd, Monday, the morning of the 2nd, 22nd.
Okay, that'll be great, thank you.
Thank you.
So community service, we have applied for ODU adopt a spot, and I've called, I followed up, and they're still, you know, it's not quite together yet, to my understanding. So I feel like we should be exploring other possibilities for community service, which I do believe is something we have to do for SGA, but it's also nice to give back to the community as well.
It's one of the options under alternatives.
Right, and I feel like stuff like that is also social, and it's nice to just take a break from your work, I think, and do something nice. And Kelly has a possibility to discuss.
Yeah, I do a lot of community service. I've got a couple of places and events that we could decide as a group to join in on. One of the events, of course, is Salvation Army Angel Tree, which is a huge community service in this area. I usually work at what they call the depot, the Christmas present depot, which is in Virginia Beach, and that's where the parents come and pick up the presents for their kids. The issue is that if a angel is not adopted from Kmart, then we get a huge stack of them brought back to us at the depot. People donate boxes of toys and clothes and things, and we come in and we take those angels that haven't been donated, and we put together at least like one outfit and one toy. Because the sad part is that a lot of these parents have 4 and 5 kids, and if only 4 of their 5 were adopted, there's one child not getting anything for Christmas. And so that's what the volunteering at the depot is. It's going in and spending, I think I usually sign up for 2 hours, and putting together presents and gifts for the angels that weren't adopted. And I talked to Cherie, who is the coordinator for Salvation Army, and ODU basketball team and a couple other organizations volunteer, and she said she would love to have, you know, our manpower in there helping, either putting together angels or helping with actually the distribution. You know, parents come in and they actually get to choose one toy themselves for their kid. And so there's actually a store set up for them on the front end where they can walk around, and you would just walk around with them and help them choose an appropriate toy. You know, if they have a 3-year-old, then it should be a toy for a 3-year-old.
And that's like a one-shot commitment. It's not something that's ongoing every month. We have to be,
Yeah.
which
And
is appealing.
Cherie
because
said,
schedules-
I look at my calendar so I can get the exact date right. Cherie said that we could come December 1st, which is a Saturday, and help, or the volunteers and the parents start picking up the 3rd through the 7th. So we could also volunteer to have a time slot during the week as well. So I can get more details on that if Angel Tree is a possibility that we would like to do. There's also NEST program, which is Norfolk Emergency Shelter Team. So from now until March, all the churches in the area in Norfolk and Chesapeake, not all of them, but most of them, volunteer to provide shelter for the homeless.
So does Virginia Beach.
Yeah. My mother-in-law is on the board, so I've had success with getting organizations together for just to volunteer one night to help serve dinner, which is usually like spaghetti and salad, that kind of thing, or play games and then kind of hang out with them. The way it works is the homeless are brought in, they're picked up down at Community Service Board on a bus, and they're brought to the church, usually 40 to 50 per church. Women come first and then men follow in. If they come in, they eat, and usually they just want to lay down and go to sleep on their mat in somewhere warm. Sometimes they want to hang out and play games, and then they spend the night. The next morning they're given breakfast and a pre-made lunch, and then they're picked up again that same night. So they're dropped off during the day. We could also volunteer to put lunches together, or come in and do a breakfast. So there's a lot of opportunities there. So that's what I have, community service-wise.
What are some other things that you know of in the community where we could help, I've contacted the public libraries because they do have volunteers come in. I'm thinking, you know, if they have some kind of event that requires a handful of people, you know, on occasion we could look into that, but I haven't heard that. But I'm not from Hampton Roads, so I think most of you probably have a better idea than I do of what's out there.
There's also a soup kitchen down in Norfolk that I have a friend who coordinates that, so we can I can ask Sheree about it. She did, and I didn't even ask, because I'm so used to an angel tree, but the stocking is huge. And the bears.
And basically, you can pick the sex of the child and the age, and then you just stuff a stocking with presents and, you know, whatever presents.
A lot of high schools do that, like their homerooms pick up stocking and stuff it.
And then, you know, the Dress-A-Bear, when I was in the registrar's office, we used to have little beauty pageant competitions with the bears before we sent them away to the Salvation Army.
With the holidays coming, there are a lot of service opportunities. I get emails from the food bank as well, and they're constantly begging for volunteers, so we could also just go to the food bank one morning and help, you know, move boxes and that kind of thing. The churches come like on Thursdays and Fridays and pick up bread and things, and we can just help with distribution. Because she emails probably twice a week asking for volunteers for the food bank.
I think it would be nice to pick something and, you know, with the date in mind, so that we could, so people can, you know, make room on their schedules for it. Like, I'd like to have something for, at least like one thing, you know, for this semester. How are we feeling about the present depot, like you were talking about, which is Salvation Army?
Chris, you have a question?
Yeah, what I was wondering is, can you help with the bear stocking thing without actually being there? I mean, can you like deliver stuff someplace for the bear, yeah.
Yeah, well, we would just pick up the stockings, stuff them, and then take them back by a certain day, and then I guess maybe it goes to the present depot, I don't know. But
So
that's something
if
we have
we
to
were to
do.
combine that with, you know, the toy store, angel thing, we could get 2 activities. Have a way to deliver the stocking, because that's where they're going. And people who necessarily, because of children or whatever, could not get free to come down and help, would still be able to contribute.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Just asking.
I don't have any details on the stocking stuff. That might already be decided. They may have already set all that up, so I have to call and get the details.
Okay,
But I mean, I can do that.
points and standards and help.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, go ahead, Kathy.
I would like to interject something new because I need to leave to go teach lab. I was talking with Sam's Club and convinced them that the biology graduate students should have the same benefit as staff at ODU for 15% discount. And I came today to ask if the graduate student organization would like me to go back to Sam's Club and get that same benefit for all of us as graduate students. It
Heck
would
yeah,
be-
because we can add anybody in as a graduate student or member. So that's, I mean, BGSO has a membership fee, it's a whopping $10. But GSO has a potential for being a much larger organization, and that would definitely be a membership.
I think
Yes.
Nice perk.
that would be certainly great, but we'd also have to come up with a way of identifying ourselves as graduate students, because on our student IDs, it just says student, you know, whether we're a TA or not.
How are they doing it? Are they just joining lists?
No, what they're doing is, I just asked if they would accept those of us who teach or receive, either teach as a TA or work as an alternate, but we have our income. All we need to do is print one pay stub that shows that we receive our money through ODU, and that satisfies their requirement.
Yeah, I think that's an easy way of doing it, they'll get a piece of somewhere
Yes.
or other. So, yeah, if you could, is that something you'd be willing to ask on our behalf?
Yes, I'm willing, I already have worked out the contact with Sam's Club for the region, and I wanted to be able to get in so I could go back on behalf of GSO and represent us as a group and get, the other thing was not only the membership, but the 15% discount as well.
That'd be
And it
great.
was like,
We need that.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be super, thank you. Does anyone have a concern with that, or should we say yes?
I shop at Sam's Club. Yeah,
I
it's
saw
not,
that.
when you buy a membership, you get 2 memberships, so your $40 covers 2 things. Because I before, like, my parents had it and my mom had ID, so I'm like, They don't check the picture on the back. Hi. Which actually, because then like my dad had one and my mom had one, which now like my sister and I split it, so we take turns paying dues every year, so it works out nicely.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, and if you, once you have that set, if you want to let us know, we can spread the word to everyone, because the more benefits we can, offer to people, then that's great. It makes our group look good, and, we personally benefit from it, so.
Yes,
All
okay.
right.
As soon as I get the paperwork, I'll
Yeah,
give it to Jenna. And thank you so much for allowing me to do that.
Oh,
Thanks, Kathy.
not a problem at all. I know people have to go, and we're actually pretty close to winding down. So, you want to add more about that?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, we meet November, I think it's November 15th.
That's right.
So I'll find out all of the information about getting, if we want to get a couple stockings and stuff them for kids. And what that is, it's the same thing as like adopting a child, pretty much. You just kind of get a kid and you stuff it full of toys for the kid. And then at our meeting on November 15th, we can definitely decide yay or nay what we want to do. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that's fine. But so just for now, keep it in mind that maybe early December there'll be some kind of community service happening. I would like to do something like that. I think it's nice. And, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, we would have to just, have like a location, like, okay, Danielle or me or Jan or somebody will have like a schedule this week and, bring your toys to us for
Yeah.
the things. Because that's kind of stuff that happens very quickly and it kind of can happen in between meetings. Like you pick it up and then it's due, this date, we don't have a meeting. So it would just be really important for you to check your email and read the messages that are coming through. I think adopting a kid and doing something is a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. So we just have a couple quick things. We have about 5 more minutes. So Jana, do you want to talk about anything else with parking?
We just need to know if we want to push forward. I mean, right now, all they did was, their response was to allow commuters, if you have a commuter pass, to park on the 3rd and 4th deck of the Lot A. So, I don't know that that's sufficient. And, I mean, do we still want to push forth and get anyone that's a graduate assistant? I think that's probably be nice if we could get grads a different level of parking pass. But I think the first step is to get graduate assistants that change so they could get in the faculty staff. Do we still want to do that? Or do we want them to designate graduate parking? I don't know if they'll do that.
So I think
But
what we need to figure out is, I know your college offers that to your graduate students, or is it just your department, just what else?
my department.
Your department does. I know that you have to get a special exception if you want a faculty staff permit. What about other colleges? Where do you?
Has it changed for anyone? I mean, I know that you can park there, but in our department, if they will write you a letter, you can go to parking services. If you're an RA or a TA, you can go in and, with the letter to parking services and get a faculty staff permit. Can anyone else do that? Because I know at some departments,
Yeah,
you
we've been
guys
able to
can?
do it. It's kind of a pain sometimes, because they were a bit disorganized in parking services, so like we would have a letter sent over there, and then
Right.
we couldn't find the letter.
Yes.
So then I have to go again and get a letter and go back and do that, but once you
Hard
do it-
copy is always best.
Yeah, hard copy is better. No, but really what I had to do was, like, I went there and I said a letter was sent by so-and-so, they couldn't find it. I left and went to my car, called their office and talked to a supervisor. I was like, can you go find it? And he went and found it, and then I came back inside and did it that way, so.
What college are you in?
College of Education Counseling.
Okay, so education education counseling, okay.
Right, because teaching and learning, which is what I'm in, it's not automatic. Like, I know Chris had an exception, but it's not.
STEM, STEM
Right.
and professional, they're like absolutely not.
How does everyone feel about that? Would it be nice to just automatically have that option? I mean, some people might just want to pay the commuter rate because it is a little bit less. It's like, what, $10 difference between commuter and faculty staff?
Yeah, but faculty staff, it's
The
a whole
convenience.
year.
Right.
You don't have to pay again for the summer.
Right.
Whereas a commuter for a student, it's not the whole year. You can pay the supposed whole year, but it's fall and spring. And then if you're here during the summer working, you have to pay again. So it's a
It
lot.
doesn't cover Christmas break either, because I have a perimeter parking and I would like to be able to come in the lab and work on
Right.
Christmas break and now.
And you should,
I don't
because
know.
you work here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I have why they wrote me a letter is because I have elder care issues. But I suspect there's an awful lot of people that are graduate students that have child care issues. provosts are partying.
Right, and
Into that.
to me, the real issue is the fact that we are employees of the university, we teach classes, we run labs, we do research, we should be treated as employees, in my point of view. So, what's your sense that we could try to make this universal, so that if you work for the research foundation or an academic department in the capacity of a graduate assistant, should you be able to have that choice of applying faculty staff? What do you think? Because I feel that way, honestly.
I do, and the provost backed us on that. She said
Right.
she had no jurisdiction, but she backed that if you're an assistant, it should not be up to individual departments, and she said that to us. It should not be up to individual departments to be selfish about parking spots, and she used the word selfish. So I think we need to, in my opinion, I would say we should push forward and get the university to, allow us that designation, that it is a faculty staff. If you're a researcher or a teaching assistant, you have to be here, you're getting paid by the school, therefore you should have that faculty staff option.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe a first step towards that would be to maybe have some sort of online petition to say, hey, a lot of people are supporting this. Can you please give us some attention, rather than just a couple individuals saying, hey, we want it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, is there another way of kind of initiating this, starting the conversation more so? Because that's just like one idea that I don't, there could be better one. I don't have experience in actually doing that, so maybe some of you do. Or is a petition great? Okay, we can do that.
I have no experience with petitions, whether
Me
they actually
neither.
are efficient or
Yeah.
not.
Right.
Right now, it's just been some of the organizations and well-placed faculty that have backed us.
And I'm wondering who would even get the petition. I feel like the university president is like too high, maybe.
And parking services, the issue seems to be with parking services.
Right, but
Parking services, not very, apparently not very amenable to discussion.
I'm thinking maybe that's something we should talk just about. If we wanted to advocate for this, who would be the appropriate party to if we had a petition, who would get that? I'm not sure.
Because we had that meeting where we had the assistant deans and associate dean in that meeting, and they got the message from Dr. Lewis, and we mentioned that the provost was backing this, but I haven't heard that trickle down. So I don't know if it stopped at that meeting and they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. But I think some of it is, the issue before, it stopped in the college, or in some of the departments. So it needs to at least be college level where they come together and say, no, this is the way it's gonna be for the college, each college.
I'll write to her and see what she thinks.
she
Because I feel
says.
like, that's why we have an advisor for that kind of guidance. So,
Definitely.
And
she has their ears, she could bend them again for us.
right, we'll see what she says before we take further steps. But I'm thinking that would be a nice thing to be able to accomplish for this year. So one last thing before we have open discussion and we go out to try the sidewalk if anyone wants to do that.
Please help.
An international student wrote to us. Her name is Nina. She's from Russia, and right now I think she's a senior, and she's looking at schools in the U.S. where she wants to attend. I think she's in engineering. And she was interested in talking to a graduate student, preferably an international student, who would kind of give her a little insider view of what ODU is like. So it would just involve like emailing her and saying, hi Lena, what questions do you have that I can help you answer? So it's not like a huge time commitment. Is anyone willing to do that? And I can send you her email. You don't mind, Sushil? All right.
To the little light.
Okay, yeah.
Thank
you.
I'm happy helping like anybody.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have your email address, so I can touch base with
So
you.
you will write that?
What was that?
You have my email?
Yeah, I do have it because I've emailed you before. So I have it started my so
Once emailed by Danielle.
right.
The word is out.
So open discussion. Any issues or concerns or questions you have that we could talk about as a group?
I have someone's pen as a side issue. I thought this was yours. I'll bring it to you. I don't want to be the pen. I hate
Yes,
it.
we can do it. Any other concerns to discuss or any other agenda items for our next meeting that you want to see on here?
I just one thing I thought of before, because I kind of thought this before back when I was undergrad, but it seems odd, SGA, Student Government Association. You think it would cover undergrad and graduates? So
Yeah.
maybe instead of trying so hard to get away from underneath them, and then to be more difficult, maybe to make SGA more undergrad and graduate, and start making it one for an actual SGA.
They supposedly are. I mean, that,
So-
last year when we went to do the budget meeting, the person who was on it was a graduate student. But I don't know what the issue is with them. And I've met the new president, and she's, I want to say she's an MA student as well,
Miriam.
whoever it is.
I think she's a senior, but maybe she's something on.
So, I mean, maybe part of the problem is probably the fact that, none of us could do that. It's just another time commitment on top of everything else we do. And they actually are required to hold office hours and some other stuff like that. So it could be that just nobody's ever volunteered for that. Another thing is, I don't know about the PhD students are even more busy. Most of the master's programs, it's a 2-year program
Well,
anyway.
I know
so-
at least if you're an actual person, like the president of SGA or whatnot, at least in my undergrad school, you got paid for those positions. So there were perks to positions. But I mean, I was just thinking at least applied members, if grad students actually knew they could join, that wasn't just for undergrads, and they'd be like, okay, maybe they might be more inclined.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's no sense of outreach to the graduate students, and maybe we should take the initiative and contact them and say, hey, what opportunities are there for grad students to get involved so that we have more of a voice in their happenings?
I think as student orgs, and someone may know the answer to this question with DGSO or something, we're allowed to send representatives to the SGA meetings to represent student orgs. So, I mean, part of it could just be we stage our own crew between BGSO and GSO and EGO, and I know there are a couple others in our letters at least.
I got,
And, we could put a block of people together and start okay, we need to start talking about these other issues that affect graduate students that you guys haven't been addressing. And that could be the short answer, we just have to start showing up to their meetings. Not that I know.
I think it is the short answer, and I think that some of the problem is that grads really don't have time to, I think the big difference is that the undergrads are really focused on a lot of social events, and we have very professional needs, and I know that they had acknowledged that to some extent in the points and standards, and that you have a professional and departmental interest group. But I think that, and I'm glad they're redoing the points and standards, and they're open to, talking, and they have that committee, and they're like, yes, please, come tell us what you need. I think that not having graduates on there, having a greater presence does definitely leave that organization to looking at what are the needs of undergrads versus grads. I don't know that graduates will ever show a huge presence on SGA, because honestly, I really don't want to deal with a whole lot of, and I know it's just me being old, but I really don't want to deal with a whole lot of undergrads and their social needs, and they're wanting to party, and attend football games. I mean, the football games are great, but I volunteer, just like Kelly, I have other organizations. I run around with 1 million Girl Scouts. I'm not going to come to campus and deal with teenagers that are not, respecting me and listening to me like my Girl Scout troop does. And that's just they're finding themselves. And I think that that's some of the issues that we have to contend with.
It may be useful to actually figure out what we need to do is get one of their people, president, vice president, somebody to come to this meeting and say, okay, here are all the issues facing us, and we don't really know what to do with SGA or how to interact with them. How do we communicate back and forth with you guys other than our semi-annual, training and then our points and standards meeting? Why isn't there more discussion there? And I have whoever people the people who really do this stuff, who put their time and effort into SGA, explain to us. This is what you as grad students need to do to be really involved in what we're.
I think
what's
that's
going on.
excellent. I think,
I think you just volunteered, Anthony.
I can contact SGA, I do know the president of SGA slightly. I actually saw her earlier today, we're on a committee. So I can ask her if she could come and speak to how we could have more of a voice and get involved. I mean, even if we don't want to do everything that's out there because we're very, very busy, it'd be nice to know what's there and how we can get involved if we choose to. So I have no problem doing that, so, yeah, we'll take care of that. So you have to make sure to be here next time, Anthony.
Yeah.
They're coming.
And I think some of it too it ends up coming down to budgetary. Because the undergrads, there are a lot of the things that they do are definitely much more social. And we're so like, oh, please, I need money for research, I need money for
Yeah,
going
but
to
that's why
conferences.
you get to know them and jump in there, so then they realize we need more money for this, and then also it benefits them and getting to know us, because
And we've
really,
got
once
that
you graduate
event.
undergrad, a lot of them are kind of like, crap, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because they haven't had any of that professional influence in there.
Maybe that is just a.
So it
overall
can help
pleasant
both.
standards.
out.
Right, and it's valuable to all of us because our graduate research raises the profile of the university, which makes
Yeah.
their degrees more valuable. So, I mean, there's a lot of benefit to that, you're absolutely right.
And there's a huge disconnect between the two.
Definitely. I
There is
think
a huge.
We'll try to see if someone can come.
Well, we've got that event for undergrads.
Right.
In
Coming
January.
So that would be another good way to reach out to them.
How to apply and survive grad school.
That's a long conversation.
We're still having it with ourselves, right?
So in terms of open discussion, anything else, or should we go outside and chart the sidewalk? All right, so I'm gonna take that as, if you want to help with charting the sidewalk, if you just wanna hang tight for 5 minutes, let pack up the stuff, if you wanna sign those cards before I put them in my bag, that's great. And then in 5 minutes, we will head outside together and hand out some chalk.
I'm gonna be emailing about the Admiralty, so if you change your mind, let me know.
Hey Kelly, will you email me? I'll send it around to two of the orgs. I'll send it to BGSO and the modeling and simulation listserv. Because I think some of them will.
They need to join GSO. I mean, I should be able to email everybody from GSO.
Yeah, but that might be an impetus for them.
Yeah, but it's just.
If you
you don't know
join,
what the.
you could do this.
Right. Yeah.
And now.
Because we have people coming to events who aren't
How
members, which
board
turns
is
us
done
on.
is very confusing.
Well, but if they come to an event, aren't they instantly a member?
No, they have to join us.
Oh, or sync, right.
Right, that's where I message everyone through, so they need to join it.
Research students.